Good morning and welcome to Saturday's special of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Human beings are social by nature, and this act of being social they have inherited from their original evolved earlier generations, chimpanzees, animals. The animals in the beginning always moved in groups, and the social being. The humans, as they are, inherited this trait. As a matter of fact, we say loneliness is a big epidemic. But then people forget that being lonely and being alone, they are two different things. Now, man is a social animal, they say, and man, when I say man, I mean women as well. But then this being social is dependent on diverse things. Most important, you would find that the most intelligent people, the more intelligent you are, the more cut off you are from the world. All the great mystics, physicists, artists, because of their high intelligence level, they are happiest when they are alone, or they are in the company of a limited people who think like that, with whom they have positive vibes. And I always used to say, like, why is it that the people whom we deem to be intelligent are normally not very active in the social life? Some are, but some pose to be happy in the society. While most people are happier when they're surrounded by friends, the really smart people are happier when they're not surrounded. And this used to be my heart when I studied the biographies of the people, like Mozart, Vincent van Gogh, Socrates. Socrates was happy when he was a student, but when he was really ruminating, when he was really thinking, and then he used to be alone. And then I saw that the people in London School of Economics and Political Science in England and the Singapore Management University were working with the same theme, and they came up with a theory of happiness. This new theory of happiness is called Savannah's theory of happiness. I would prefer to call it evolutionary legacy hypothesis. I won't call it a theory as yet because it's just been presented, and hypothesis is theory after some research which they have done, and further research will make it a law. And I have another term for it, that the mismatch hypothesis. You match a genius with a dunce, and that's a mismatch. And none of them would be happy. Just put a very intelligent man with an absolute duffer and see the result. And that you have seen in politics, when extremely intelligent people and extremely idiots, they come in juxtaposition. The result is not a matter of happiness, at least for the intelligent person. And then what happens? The intelligent person withdraws. So this Savannah theory of happiness posits that we react to our circumstances as our ancestors would have done. And this is because they have evolved psychologically. And this evolution is based on the needs of the society at that time when the humankind lived on Savannah. Now, what is a Savannah? It's in Africa, the glades, the greenery, the pasture where the people used to live. That was a pastoral life. That was a Savannah, a group of people living together in natural surroundings. And in this study, which was conducted 15,197 individuals were studied. They were the sample, such a large sample. They interacted in the groups, they lived in relationship. Some were living in the rural areas, some were living in the urban areas, and they were leading a very happy life. They were not told that they are subject to study, but they were being observed. Their purpose was to assess how population density and friendship affects happiness. And then it was found that most people, average people, were less happy in areas of greater population density. The more the population, the less happy the people are. And more the population, the less happy or happier are the people who are intelligent. They want to move away. The intelligent people always try to move away from the centers of concentration of population. And even an average person feels uneasy in a larger group unless he doesn't use his brain at all. There are two levels. One is intelligence, other is a natural reaction. So when you are living at an absolutely animal level, you are happy. The bigger the group, the better you are. But even then, there's a limit. And they say the maximum number of people in a group where your brain can interact is of about 150 people. They studied the brain of the people, how their brains were working, and they studied the activity level of the brain in group, alone, in a small group, big group, bigger group, and so on. And then comparing the size of the neocortex of chimpanzee and other primates and the size of the groups, it was seen that for human beings, the maximum natural size of the group should be 150, not more. And you would see that all the politicians, when they enter the larger group, they're happy. Why? Not because of communicating to large people, but because they know that the larger the group, the more idiotic they are going to be. They are going to be a crowd reaction. They are not going to think for themselves. Their brain levels are going to stop functioning in larger group, and they'll assimilate whatever is told to them. This mob mentality, crowd mentality, is the result of the Savannah theory of happiness. Because happiness is a function when your brain is at rest. When crowd is not at rest, it's working, but it's a jumbled work. It's not creative work. Then the computer simulations were there, and it was found that the risk aversion is happiest only in the group of 150 people. So what are we? We are the hunter-gatherer societies. Let's not forget it. Our blood boils when we are in a group. We don't think, we don't contemplate, we don't meditate. Meditation is meant for loneliness. So if you see the modern hunter-gatherer society, I'll call it, the assemblages of the marriages, get-togethers, anniversaries where the people invite about 200 people, 300 people. But the average size is 148.4 people. And interestingly, if you look at the old civilizations like Mesopotamia, the villages used to be about 150 to 200 people. That's it. So each village, each savannah was of that group where the people could lead a reasonably intelligent life, but not a very intelligent life. And look at India. all the rishis and munis would move away from the large centers and go to the forest to meditate, and they opened their schools, the gurukuls they used to call them, in the forest where the students used to live with them. And the students used to be 10, 15, not like that, the way we have now. If you have read Emerson's Walden, which Retreat to Walden, you would appreciate the same. So when a group exceeds 150, 200 people, it breaks into two to facilitate greater cooperation and reciprocity in its members. And the average personal network, you can see it for yourself in your life, how many holiday cards per year you send per person. You would see it doesn't exceed 100. So the negative effect of the people, of the lots of people, is not pronounced in average people. There are 100 people, there are 200 people. Their brain still functions the same way, the same waves are being created. But intelligent people say, what nonsense is that? Come. Am I a mindless ant moving in this group? And slowly the person withdraws. Now there can be other way around, that you build a wall around yourself, that the nonsensical talk doesn't reach you. That's one way. And people adopt that as a defense mechanism. So our smartest ancestors were able to adapt to the larger groups because of the greater strategic flexibility and innate ingenuity. But the more urbanization comes place, that ingenuity doesn't happen. Now, if you're living, say, in New York or in Mumbai or in Delhi or in London, moving away is difficult. Not for any other reason, but for economic reason and for medical reason and so on and so forth. So, unhappiness increases. The question is, you have got friends or you don't have friends. Now, if the person with whom you take a cup of tea and who say, hi, how are you, is not a friend. At the most, it's an acquaintance. Friends are an extremely limited number. You have 5,000 friends on Facebook. Out of them, maybe you might have one or two. That's it. But that's a reality of life. So friendship increases life expectation of people, that is given. But the real friendship. So the truth is that while loneliness is to be protected against, being alone is not to be protected against. One should be encouraged to be alone so that the person can indulge in meditation and thoughtfulness and increase happiness. And the happiness of one individual multiplied would be gross domestic happiness, which will be larger number. And have you seen, the happiest people in the world are in Costa Rica or in Bhutan, where there are no big urban centers. Bhutan, I mean, I have gone there, the villages would be 40 people, 50 people, 100 people. Even in Paro, the capital, and Thimphu, it was hardly a few thousand people. So we need no longer to look beyond our Savannah. The friendship is alliances very vital for survival and very vital for being intelligent and human. But we need an outlet for sharing experience. And you don't share experience in a crowd. You are happy when you share experience with the people with whom you gel. And they are limited in number. In highly intelligent people, smart people, really smart people, they feel happiest alone, except in a company of 2 or 3 or 4 and 5. When I was in NFL, every week, 3 of my friends used to come. And 3 of them and 2 of us, myself and my wife. We used to have a great roaring time, intellectual discussion, and even normal chit chat, but that was the happiest period. So, a healthy social life actually leaves highly intelligent people with less life satisfaction. It's because of the desire more aspirational and goal oriented. Average person doesn't have that aspirational life. He aspires, but not in that way. So other people find that attitude to be distracting. So socializing with friends is actually an indicator of higher intelligence. So you can always judge a person's intelligence by the way he interacts in crowd, in social action, and a small group, 2, 3, 5, 10. And then you would find out how intelligent man can be. And don't mind, and don't forget, urbanization is a bane of society and cause of unhappiness. Smaller groups are going to generate more happiness. And the real intelligent people, they are happy in the world of their own with a couple of friends, and that's all. So Savannah theory of happiness is very clear. You remain in your Savannah or create your own Savannah and be happy.